Hello everybody, yes, how are we all doing? It is the Fredz93 here, and that time again on Football Fredders. It's time to embarrass myself with some predictions. Yes, so we're going up to the start of the new season. That of course starts this weekend. We're going to tackle both the Premier League and the Bundesliga in the same video. So of course we'll start things off with the Premier League, and I picked a similar sort of top four last season. We'll do it again this season, but we're going to change the order. I think even without a recognised striker, Man City should still have enough firepower in the rest of the team to prepare themselves remaining top of the league. Manchester United have definitely strengthened themselves with the signings of Varane and Sancho. They maybe won't be able to catch City, but they'll definitely put in a good little shout. Then third in Chelsea. The incoming signing of Romelu Lukaku should give them that firepower that they have been missing, because no offence to Timo Werner, but he just hadn't been good enough last season. Missed far too many easy opportunities in my opinion. And then of course, despite the fact they will have Van Dijk and Joe Gomez back, and they've of course strengthened in central defence in regards to cover with Ibrahim Konate, Liverpool probably won't have enough to put in the title challenge again, because they're not really signing any other cover or backup for Salah, Mane and Firmino, and sooner or later the defences of the rest of the league are going to know what to do to stop them. So it could be an interesting season for Liverpool, but they should just scrape Champions League football. Fifth and sixth, I've gone for Leicester City and Tottenham. Tottenham, their positioning will obviously depend on whether or not Harry Kane is still there. At the moment he is, or at the time of recording he is certainly, but everything of course still can change, you never know with football. Leicester City, I think despite the fact they've just lost Wesley Fofana to a pretty lengthy injury, they should still have enough quality in their defence. I know they haven't really done much in the transfer window. I know they've got in Patson Daka, but then that's just more like cover for Iheanacho and Vardy to sort of like help with the what am I thinking of? That's it. The like physical strain that the Europa League's going to have on their stamina this season, of course. Arsenal, hopefully one place better than last season for them. Getting into, I believe that would be the UEFA Conference League spot, again depending on like cup finishes and stuff like that. And then I've got Everton, West Ham and Leeds rounding up the top 10. Can Leeds keep up their performances this season that they did from last season? I hope they can, because they were a very entertaining side to watch last season. Everton, interesting sort of transfer window so far. Begovic, Townsend and Demarai Gray. Maybe you'd expect a bit more from Everton. Then they're going with a more defence-minded sort of manager in Rafa Benitez, who I know from his time at Newcastle, so things could be interesting there. West Ham, will they really have the strength, like the depth in numbers, to be able to cope with the demands of the Europa League as well as the Premier League? I'm not entirely sure. But there's only one way to find out, and that's just to keep progressing on through the season. Next, 11th to 15th, I've gone for Newcastle, because yes, I've got to be optimistic. Again, as I recorded this, we hadn't done anything in the transfer window, although we did agree a fee with Joe Willock with Arsenal for Joe Willock for the previous evening. Aston Villa, I know it's weird for me to put these guys down here, especially as they signed Buendia and Leon Bailey. However, I think Jack Grealish, the sale of Jack Grealish, that means they're going to lose a bit more of that creativity spark that they had a little bit last season. Who knows? You can never really tell with Aston Villa in particular, can you? Wolves, I think the Portuguese train is coming off the rails, but then we've seen that Nuno Espirito Santo's gone, Rui Patricio's gone, so I reckon they're going to struggle again this season. Southampton, they've just sold Danny Ings, so it depends on how they replace him this season, rest of this window, because nothing personal towards Che Adams, but he's not really a Premier League striker, and I'm trying to be as kind as I could happy with that, but unfortunately it is just the harsh truth. And then Crystal Palace, and they've got a brand new manager in with Patrick Vieira, and yes, they have brought in like Conor Gallagher and Olise, I believe, from Reading, but again, it's not much more in depth in regards to that. They've let a lot of players go, and whether or not they get replaced is going to be an indifferent matter in itself. And then of course we'll have Brighton and Hove Albion and Burnley just to stay up. They'll stay sort of in and around that area. I reckon they'll do just enough to stay up, which is more than what I can say for the 3 promoted sides, Watford, Norwich and Brentford, to go down in that order of 18th, 19th, 20th. Brentford purely because if Ivan Toney doesn't hit form in the Premier League, then they'll struggle for goals, personally. Norwich, depending on how they've replaced Buendia, because Buendia was a lot of they had like a massive creativity spark for Norwich, sort of like in the last few seasons. And then we all saw what happened with Timu Pukki the last time Norwich were in the league. Started off great and then just struggled the rest of the season. Well, I say started off great. He had like 2 great games before going to struggle on. And then Watford is a bit of an interesting one because I know they've brought in quite a few players like Danny Rose, Emmanuel Dennis, to name a couple. Will it be enough for them? I don't really know. It all depends, particularly on Emmanuel Dennis and how he sort of like adapts to the Premier League, because having watched him in the Bundesliga last season and not having been overly impressed with him whilst at Cone, it's going to be interesting. And there is actually a bet that I've got on with another Twitch streamer who actually supports Watford. Hopefully if Watford get relegated, then they've got to do a stream in a shirt of their rivals Luton Town, or if they stay up, I've got to do one in a Sunderland shirt. So that's my big forfeit for this season's predictions. If Watford stay up, I'll do a stream in a Sunderland shirt. That was very hard for me to say as well. So let me just get the Bundesliga table up, and then I'll give you the predictions that I have in mind for that league. So with the Bundesliga, I'm finding that sort of like a bit more simpler to predict, especially if now I've had a bit more of an experience with the Bundesliga. I've had like a whole season to get used to that league. Obviously Bayern Munich top. Who else am I going to put there? They've got Nagelsmann in, they've got Upamecano in their defence now to perfectly replace Jerome Boateng. They shouldn't really need to worry about replacing David Alaba because they already had Alphonso Davies there, and they've got just so much more creativity and firepower elsewhere. They shouldn't struggle for this season at all. And then for the rest of the top 4, I've gone for Leipzig, because even though they have lost Konate and Upamecano, I believe they should still have enough to sort of be up and around there. Borussia Dortmund, I hope they do well. I mean, they've obviously brought in like Marlon from PSV to replace Jadon Sancho, and of course you've still got Erling Haaland there at the club, so that should definitely give them enough firepower there. And then Borussia Mönchengladbach to round off the top 4. They had a bit of a disappointing last season, but hopefully they can bounce back. Then I've gone for Wolfsburg, Bayer Leverkusen and Eintracht Frankfurt in that order to finish off the top 7. Hoffenheim, Freiburg and Augsburg again in that order to round off the top 10. And then 11th to 15th, I've basically gone for Stuttgart. I'm hoping second season syndrome is not going to be a thing for Stuttgart, especially if they've got a few decent youngish players within that squad. Mainz, Union Berlin, where they'll be able to cope with the demands of the UEFA Conference League as well as staying up in the Bundesliga. I know they had an amazing season to qualify there in the first place, but will this prove to be a bit too much for them? We'll just have to wait and see. Hertha Berlin, Hertha Berlin used to be sort of like more one of the bigger teams in the Bundesliga, but now they seem to be finding themselves sort of like heading backwards a wee bit. But hopefully they can do enough to stay up there. And then Arminia Bielefeld, second season syndrome, could that be a thing? Who knows, we'll just have to wait and see. And then I don't really want to have to put my team, FC Köln, in the relegation playoff spot, but we've sold Bornau and we've sold Jacobs, and we haven't really replaced them at the time of recording, so I reckon this season could be a bit of a struggle for us. And then Bochum and Fürth, I've the two promoted teams, I'm really sorry. I've got them to go straight back down. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm not going to end up with egg on my face on any of those predictions. However, that is going to do it for this time round on Football Threaders. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, subscribe, follow social media and everything like that. And I'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye bye for now.